What about that really important aspect of Ashok, his concern, his love for animals? We've already seen how he advocates non-violence towards all living beings, humans and animals. And many of his inscriptions, many of Ashok's inscriptions elaborate on his solicitude for animals. For instance, there is Rock Edict 1, which talks about his attempts to curb violence towards animals in sacrifices, in festive gatherings known as samajas, in the royal kitchen. There are other inscriptions that also talk about how the king thinks that his promotion of Dhamma has led to the spread of an attitude of care towards animals, a mitigation in as far as the injury and killing of animals is concerned. So there is plenty on non-violence towards animals, and I don't need to go into all the inscriptions. I think here Ashok's reputation is well-founded. He talks about not only avoiding injuring and killing animals in various contexts, he also announces various welfare measures for animals, including medical treatment. He says medical treatment, planting of herbs, root plants, fruit trees, digging of wells, etc. These are not only for humans, they're also for animals. The most famous inscription of Ashok, which talks about animals, is Pillar Edict 5, which lists a large number of animals that were not to be killed. It declares a ban on killing female goats, ewes, and sows who are pregnant or lactating, and as well as a ban on killing young animals less than 6 months old. So a ban on killing various animals, pregnant females, small animals who are very young, ban on killing them. And then there are all kinds of other bans that he puts in place. And they amount to a kind of calendrical regulation of injury towards animals or killing of animals, not a complete elimination of killing. So on certain days, that inscription, Pillar Edict 5, says the animals that were hunted in the elephant forest are not to be killed. On certain days, there's a ban on killing and selling fish in the fishermen's preserves. On certain days, there is an injunction an order that husk containing living animals was not to be burnt. On certain days, forests should not be burnt needlessly or in order to kill living beings. On certain days, no animal should be fed with another animal. So very, very detailed. Some of them strike us as a bit odd, but he obviously had something very clear in mind. Cocks are not to be castrated at any time. Bulls, goats, rams, and boars are not to be castrated on certain specific days, and I calculated the number of days it amounted to. And he said that on certain days, the branding of horses and bulls was not to be done. So there's a very elaborate kind of set of statements about avoiding injuring animals, avoiding killing them, positive measures taken for their welfare. What is perhaps not as well recognized is that Kautilya actually has a pretty impressive set of statements about animal protection as well. He should establish on its border of the sanitized game park, which is another issue which I will not go into, or on suitable land, another animal park where all animals are guests. Now, what you have here is the idea of the animal sanctuary, and the word abhaya vana is used elsewhere in the Arthashastra. And we are told that in these animal sanctuaries, in the abhaya vanas, should be a ban on, or there should be a fine. Kautilya loves imposing fines. So that's perfectly in line with the primacy of Artha. So fines are to be imposed on those harming animals in the animal sanctuaries. And there's so much more on the protection of animals in the Arthashastra. You wouldn't believe that this was Kautilya speaking, how horses and elephants under state care must be taken care of when they grow old. For instance, the horses incapacitated by war, disease, or old age, they should be taken care of, so on and so forth. And he talks about how fines should be imposed on those who do not take proper care of state elephants, including those who hit an elephant in an improper place. So plenty of injunctions in the Arthashastra which refer to how animals should not be hurt, how their interests must be safeguarded, how vets should take care of elephants who are suffering from the result of a long journey, disease, or work. Hurting domesticated animals is a punishable offense, according to Kautilya. And if a driver of a bullock cart injures animals on account of a broken nose string or yoke, slap a fine on him. That's what Kautilya suggests. He's very into slapping fines for all kinds of offenses, and fines are prescribed for all kinds of other offenses that involve animals and harming animals. And, for instance, pregnant females or those with young are singled out for special consideration. So if you make a list of Ashok's welfare measures for animals on one side, and on the other side you put Kautilya's recommendations, they are all recommendations for the protection of animals, Kautilya doesn't come across too badly or too poorly at all. In fact, you might say that he does even better than Ashok when it comes to injunctions about animal welfare.